School choice is raging around the country, but what about Colorado? To talk about it, two very exciting guys from the Independence Institute, because we have that much fun. Ross Izard, who works in our education department, and Ben DeGrow, who we all know and love, also works there. All right, first question. I mean, Colorado, I've always thought, was a leader in school choice with charter schools and open enrollment, our school report card system. Let's go over here first. How are we doing compared to the nation?
Well, historically, we're not doing too bad, but when it comes to the idea of giving students choice outside of the public system, like private school choice for those kids who really need it, Colorado's kind of fallen down on the job.
Compared to what?
Compared to other states.
Give me something. Like who? Who's better than us? Who?
Well, this is going to be kind of embarrassing for Colorado. Some examples would include Tennessee, Mississippi, and Nevada. These are states that are moving ahead on school choice.
How in the world could Mississippi be giving more educational choice than Colorado?
Yeah, that's a question I think people need to ask their lawmakers.
All right, what happened in Mississippi? What's going on in these states that we're missing?
Sure. So Mississippi is now one of the 5 ESA states in the country. That means Education Savings Account. So those are basically like the mother of all school choice programs. They give you what they call an education debit card, where you literally get a card that you can use to buy curriculum materials. You could pay private school tuition with it. You could use it to get specialized therapy or services. And they kind of just open up the world for parents and students to pick what they would like to do.
So basically, it's like educational food stamps. Would that be a good way to put it? Like, you get your SNAP card, you go spend it on anything you want, but here you actually get a debit card as a parent that you can spend on
almost
private school choice.
That's right, almost everything you'd like. And actually, at the end of it, if you have some money left over, you can set that money aside for college. And that's one of the defining characteristics of ESA programs, is that at the end of all this, you've picked your own course, you've made your way through, and you actually have a little bit of money left over so you can move on into college when you're ready.
So it's more like the health savings accounts that we have, which is there's an incentive to save money because you can use it for the health savings for your retirement, but here it's for college.
That's exactly right.
All right, that's in Mississippi.
We have Mississippi, Tennessee, and Nevada all adopted those programs. We have 5 of those states now. Ben mentioned Nevada. They've actually adopted the nation's biggest ESA program. 93% of their students can participate in that. Almost everybody.
Whoa. So almost everybody in Nevada can get an educational savings account.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
you
huge.
get the debit card, you can spend it on tuition, you can spend it on tutors, you can spend it on education materials.
How much money is in this account?
In Nevada, they're getting kids are getting more than $5,000 each year, which is about, I think, 90% of what the state government would spend on their education.
Would it be fair to call that a voucher program?
Well, it's kind of similar to a voucher, but the ESA is kind of like, if the voucher is like your rotary phone, then the ESA is kind of like your smartphone, because it's so much more empowerment to it. I mean, you can save the money, you can buy all these different things with it.
So in these states, not Colorado, but in these states, if I have a kid, I get the card, and if I find a school that the tuition is $4,000 and it leaves me another $1,000, I could use that to buy my kid books or special tutors, or I could just save the $1,000, and that stays in an account for junior's college when he gets there.
Exactly, and this year we went from having 2 states with that kind of program to 5, and the momentum is just growing. Colorado considered a bill like this, and unfortunately it didn't make it very far in the Democratic-controlled House.
Did it get out of the Senate?
No, it started in the House and just died.
And
right
died
there.
in committee.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So things are moving pretty slowly on the state side.
On the state side, on the local side, that's really where the action is happening in education in Colorado. Though, I mean, if you look at Douglas County, I think we've been on the show talking about it before, that Supreme Court decision is coming down pretty soon.
Let's get into that. So on the state side, Colorado, which used to be, I think, a leader in educational choice. We were one of the first states to officially bring in the charter school movement and open enrollment and all these incredible things that now have saved lives, saved kids' educations. That's not happening. That's stalled. But on the local side, we're seeing these pockets of innovation. Let's go with Douglas County first. They put together a voucher program. I'll use the word voucher program. They call it a scholarship program. It's tied up in the courts. What was it, and what's going to happen?
Sure. They take, for every $4 you get from the state to fund a student, 3 of those dollars would be attached directly to the student. They could take it to any one of like 25 different private schools. and help pay for their tuition. It's all up to the families if they want to participate. The district offers a lot of great options, and this was just one more on a menu of school choice options that they're making available to families. And here we are. We're coming up on the 4th anniversary of when the lawsuit was filed. 4 years, and every week I keep thinking maybe the Supreme Court's going to finally resolve this for families.
Right, so for those who don't know, this thing that started to help kids 4 years ago, and we know of some kids who are autistic kids who would have been really helped by going to a school. And the school district was like, this school outside of our system is better for your kid. The parents were like, this is better. And it was the ACLU that sued, got an injunction, and for 4 years, no one has been helped. We're waiting.
That's right, yeah, we're waiting. I mean, and what's really awful about it is the timing of the injunction when it came down, was you just had all of these kids that were ready to go, practically with their bags packed, ready to go off to these schools. The injunction
almost quite literally. I mean, it was the last set to go.
Absolutely, and they just got stuck. They weren't able to do it. So some of the schools were able to accommodate them, but a lot of those kids just weren't able to go where they needed to go. And now 4 years later, we're still waiting for a decision, and those kids are, who knows what happened to them. It's really unfortunate.
Some of them moved.
Yeah.
Some of them had to move to get to a better school. I mean, it's heartbreaking stuff. All right, so we call that innovation, though. So at least, depending on what happens in this court case, which could happen, the ruling could come any day, right?
Any day.
Any day.
And I've been saying that for months. So the Supreme Court moves at its own speed.
The wheels of litigation. But you guys are telling me there's more innovation happening locally. Give me some more of that. Since the state has stalled, the once great educational state of Colorado has stalled, these brush fires are starting to happen throughout the state of innovation. Give me more.
Sure. So what we've seen, DougCo had their voucher program, and that was huge. Another big thing that they did was back in 2012, they ended their relationship with the teachers union in Douglas County. And what we've seen is here on the Front Range and in a few other places, there have been districts that have elected reform-minded conservative majorities who have gone in there and sort of said, look, we want the keys back to our district. We want to be able to make decisions so that we can innovate and have more flexibility.
Why is that important? I mean, why is ending the contract with the union, being able to have free agents working at so important for the kids? I mean, I get it from the teacher's point of view that instead of treating teachers like factory workers, you get to treat them like professionals that they are and compensate them as professionals, not all the same. So I can understand why teachers, while first kind of nervous about anything new, are starting to really love this because they're professionals. How does that translate to educational reform?
Sure. So the first piece I think that you touched on there is that actually treating teachers like professionals does lead to better outcomes for kids. So if you're able to reward performance in terms of taking your best teachers and paying them accordingly, you actually do see that start to transfer into new incentives. You start seeing it transfer into teachers that are really driven to produce great outcomes for kids. So actually the compensation and the professional treatment part is very closely tied to how kids do. The other piece is that once you have taken out all of the gobbledygook that comes with union contracts, and these things are like 120 pages long. They're big, and they're very tough to work with. You can start taking decisions that previously would have needed to be negotiated every single year, where you sit down at a table, you go through this arduous process, and now all of a sudden your locally elected school board can make those choices, and they can push them down to the principals.
Give me an example.
We're able to do that.
Decision
so for
on
instance, if you were wanting to say build something like an innovation zone in your school district, where all of a sudden you were wanting to take a pocket of schools and say that we're going to take these schools and we're going to run a specialized program. And maybe that program involves slightly larger class sizes, or maybe it involves a pay-for-performance model, or anything that you can possibly think of. Now all of a sudden the district school board is going to be able to make that choice. They're not going to have to stress about going through the bureaucratic layers of getting there. They're able to make the choice. And so the cool thing is that there's a huge list of stuff they could do, but the point is that now they're able to make that choice.
So it's kind of like we don't know what some of these innovations can be without the school district school union contract, which limited them. We don't know what innovation can happen in years to come, because now administrators and school districts will have flexibility to try new things. Am I getting that point right?
Yeah, and Douglas County was a breakthrough to be a large district that actually exercised this choice. Most Colorado school districts by far do not have union contracts. They tend to be the smaller ones, but when this large school district in Douglas County opened up the floodgates of innovation, and now after several years it's starting to prove that, there's a little turmoil for a while, but teachers are settling in, they're enjoying the freedom and innovation that comes with it. The more this exists as a role model, then it becomes scary. The union has to justify what its existence is about in some of these other districts, like the Thompson School District.
Talk to me about this, because this idea now is starting to to grow. It's incubating. It's growing all over the state.
Yeah, it's a little different dynamic in Thompson. They have a kind of a divided board that's mostly conservative, but
This is
not
Loveland
unanimously.
area, and
Loveland and Berthoud up in Larimer County, so it's smaller than Douglas County, but it's a somewhat conservative area, and they've had a showdown with the teachers union. The union contract expires at the end of this month in June, and the union's doing all it can right now to desperately try to keep that going. After the union and the bureaucrats in the district conspired against the conservative school board to give them this really bad, lousy contract deal, and the conservative board had the backbone to say, no, we're not going to get this raw deal. We want to actually do some kind of reforms and innovation. This isn't going to let it happen.
what give me ideas of other local reforms? All right, so understand that with unions, I get that. What's going on in Douglas? What else is popping up? If you're saying that the movement is not at the state level because the state can't do what Mississippi is doing, my God, we can't do educational savings account. Mississippi is doing it. So what else are we looking for on the local side? What could be the possibilities?
Sure. I think Jeffco is a great example. I'll kick it over to Ben so he can talk a little bit about what they're doing with their budget and how they're kind of going down that road with innovation.
Yeah, so,
Nice handoff.
So the Jefferson County, I mean, now we're getting to even larger school district. Here they are wanting to pay teachers based on performance. Here they are wanting to treat all public school students the same, real fair funding.
I mean, charter schools
That's
get the same amount of money.
Just because your kid goes to the charter school, we're not going to treat them like they're second-class citizens.
Most people don't know that, but if charter schools get paid less, now not in Jeffco.
Yeah, the Jefferson County last year made a big step toward that, and they're on the verge of doing that again. All the local dollars, share them equally, treat the kids the same.
All right. Education Center at the Independence Institute. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ross. More information at independenceinstitute.org. Look for the fights as they come up and keep it right here. We'll see you next week.